Chicago and Oakland, what up, though? It's your turn, Chicago and Oakland. Listen, we're going to go to two different sides of the country in order to illustrate a couple of points, all right? But we're not even going to talk about the violence in Chicago. I don't have a violent story for Chicago for you. We're going back to the money, and we're going to have a conversation based off of what is going on in Chicago. And I also want to bring it into housing, because a lot of people often ask, well, these landlords are so greedy. Why are they doing this? Why are they continuing to raise the rents, right? Do you know that as my property taxes go up, but then I neglect to actually raise the rents, even though my tenants may be getting raises and promotions and having a good time? Do you know that I'm the one that loses as a result of it? But let me tell you what's going on in Chicago. Not only are their leaders inefficient, crazy, deranged, and incapable of being able to manage the city effectively as far as the violence and the migrant crisis, they're also unable to be able to manage it effectively as far as their finances. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Big story at 4 o'clock, the price to rent, much like everything else, is rising, not just in the cities, but also in the suburbs. Let's show you some examples. According to apartmentlist.com, here's the average cost to rent a two-bedroom apartment. In Arlington Heights, it's nearly $2,000 a month, up 6.5% from last year. Aurora, just about the same, up 5.7%. And in Westmont, it's more than $1,600 a month, up nearly 4%. So what is driving this? One suburban landlord says it all points to an increase in property taxes. NBC5's Lexi Suter has the story.
Paul Backen opened his property tax assessment paperwork 3 weeks ago and was totally shocked.
I said, whoa, wait, what? So that kind of threw me back.
Taxes on his 4-unit Plainfield apartment building went up 55%. That's about $5,000.
Can you imagine? Think about this for a minute. Because it's the same thing. The same principle applies in business across the board. I don't care if you have a restaurant. I don't care if you're a real estate owner. What happens is inflation affects everybody, and often at times the person that has to pay for it is the consumer. So it's not the business owner that's necessarily going to have to deal with it in the same way that you're going to have to deal with it as a consumer. When you talk about the cost of inflation, the cost of doing business, the price of money, exactly what money is, how it is as it's backed by the U.S. Treasury, it all comes back down to the people that are affected the most are the working class, the middle class, the people. Can you imagine getting a 55% increase in your property taxes? 55. Chicago was already one of the places that had some of the highest property taxes in the United States of America. Some of the highest property. Man, I used to talk to friends that was down in Chicago, because you know Chicago is our sister city. We the big brother, y'all the sister. Chicago is the sister city. We'll just say that we cousins. We kissing cousins that we don't like to kiss no more. Shout out to Chicago. Chicago has always been a city where I've had friends in, and I was talking to my homie one time a long time ago, and he was a manager, and I think I told y'all this story before. He was the manager of a really, 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 really famous rapper, still the manager of a really famous rapper. And he said, Anton, I just got my property tax bill, and it's this much. And he thought that it was normal until I started telling him exactly what my property taxes were, yet we had the value, our houses was of the same value. And he was like, why are y'all property taxes so much smaller than ours? I don't understand. And they already had some of the highest property taxes in the United States of America. But can you imagine, right out of the blue, that the city then assess you to be 55% higher in property taxes than you were the year before? 1 year increase, 55%. Well, guess who has to pay for that? That has to be passed on to the people that pay the rent. Now, the consumers are the ones that's going to take care of that. See, here's the thing. We keep talking about ownership. What does ownership really mean? Because the property taxes still have to be paid, regardless of whether or not you feel some type of way about it, even if you completely own the house and there's no bank loan on it. So who really owns the house? If somebody, the true owner of property is the person that continues to get paid for it without having to put any money into it. The true owner of somebody or something is if you can get paid for it, but you don't have to put anything into it. That's real ownership. See, we're just leasing even though we don't necessarily have a mortgage on the property, because it's the city the one that benefit from it because they don't have to put anything into it. That's why when a city is completely decrepit, out of order, everything is trash, so on and so forth, that they're willing to give the property away. And so you would ask yourself, well, why would they give that property away for so cheap? Because they want you to build it up so that they can build a community, possibly gentrify it, and then they can start to raise the property taxes, which increases the payrolls. It's all a trickle-down effect, but it's all meant to take money out of your pocket, which is one of the reasons why you got to look at things from a business perspective. But let's continue with the show.
$1,000 more than he currently pays.
I spoke with the landlord that owns the building next door to mine, and he was in shock also. He said he's never seen anything like it, and he felt the same way.
Paul can't absorb the additional expense on his own, so he says he'll have to break up the burden, meaning his tenants will be on the hook for $100 more a month. He admits it's not ideal.
Knowing how I'm always seeing and reading about, the housing crisis and affordable.
What, you thought that he was going to take that $5,000 a year hit? No, you the one that's got to pay for that. You thought that he was going to take that $5,000 year hit, increase $5,000 more a year in your property taxes. That's just for you to even be able to call yourself an owner. You telling me that he's going to have to? No, he's not going to take the hit. He's going to break that up. Listen, all of y'all going to be paying an extra $100, $125 a month, right? And if the rent go up again, it's because y'all going to have to keep paying an extra $250 a month. And it's not necessarily the landlord. The landlord is just trying to keep his head above water. Often at times they got mortgages and expenses. And when you call and say the water heater is out or the dishwasher is off or the dishwasher is off or we got bed bugs, who you think going to have to shoulder that cost? Well, eventually they're going to have to pass that back over into the consumer.
Housing, I feel it's very unfair, a 55% tax increase that I cannot, have the burden of, and I have to pass that along to my tenants.
The Will County Assessor's Office says in a statement to NBC5, the Plainfield Township Assessor revalued the subject property along with other properties in the subject neighborhood based on recent sales. For 2023, the assessed value was increased, and this was a 55% increase in value.
I used to be a renter at one point in time in my life, and I understand it, and I'm, trying to make it better for my tenants. And understand their point of view because, everything's going up. It's not just this. And it's hard to break even nowadays. It really is.
It's hard to break even nowadays, meaning that the value that he has is based off of, or the money that he makes is not even based off of trying to cash flow the property. Because he's just trying to make sure that he stay above water long enough to be able to make sure that you can stay above water and that you got a roof over your head. So he's just trying to stay in business. So most property owners is not even cash flowing their property. That's a myth. Most people, most landlords that own a property, unless you're just a slumlord, they are not cash flowing the property. They are just staying above water when you really take into account the true cost of ownership. And their value is largely based in their net worth, meaning that they're largely depending on a property to increase in value, which also increases the property taxes. And that's how it is that they can substantiate whether or not it's worth it or not to continue to be a landlord. Meanwhile, while we was over in Chicago and they was raising property taxes, they got a bigger problem on their hand over there in Oakland. I bet you didn't even know that the mayor of Oakland was a woman. Did you know that all of these major cities over in California had woman mayors? Ain't that crazy? San Francisco, Oakland, crime is just absolutely exploding. Some of them are black, some of them are white, some of them are Asian. Over in Oakland, they're having community meetings because they saying that, listen, crime is so out of control. Everything is so running rampant. We're defunding the police where we don't even have any police to even come out to the houses. We don't have no police commissioner. And meanwhile, you have a woman at the helm that is managing everything that's going on with the city. And the residents are now fighting back and they complaining about it.
Hundreds of Oakland residents concerned about rising crime showed up for a community safety meeting today with local officials. The event was hosted by an East Oakland church, but there wasn't room for everyone inside and many neighbors were locked out. ABC 7 News reporter Cornell Bernard has the story.
We first have to acknowledge why we're here. We are in pain. We are suffering.
Oakland neighbors and activists holding this rally, addressing fear over rising crime in their city.
How many of you have had gunshots in your neighborhoods?
quality of life in Oakland has deteriorated down to a place where myself and many other people are uncomfortable leaving our homes.
The rally held in advance of a community safety meeting at nearby Genesis Worship Center.
The city of Oakland, crime is out of control. It's like the Wild Wild West.
It's why Bishop George Matthews wanted to host the meeting.
Businesses are leaving. People are scared.
There was so much interest from the public, the line to get in stretching around the block. But
shout out to Civ Lap. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. The lines to get in, black people, white people, Asian people, all across the board, they said, listen, we can't even be quiet no more because we scared to come out of our house. You see all of those different types of people? Black, brown, white, it ain't nothing that people want to come together more of when it comes to the deterioration of their neighborhoods and the safety of their children. They may do the thing that's not in their own best interest. They may go out and tear up things that's not in their own best interest. But the one thing is when your kid can't even go down the street, that's a problem. They say, listen, we're going to go to church today. We're going to go to church so much right now and we're going to protest so much that we can't even fit in the building. On Sunday, ain't nobody want to come to hear the community talk about God, but they absolutely want to come and hear about them talk about that crime that's going on in their neighborhoods.
But there wasn't enough room inside, and dozens were shut out and upset.
Set up something in our neighborhood and not talk to them. We're outside, they're in there, but they're not seeing us, they're not hearing us. How are things going to get fixed?
Inside, church leaders apologized, offering people a live stream to watch. Oakland Mayor Shang Tao talked about her investments in...
Shout out to Shang Tsung. Shout out to Shang Tsung. I mean, you know what? I played a little bit too much Mortal Kombat back in my day. Shang Tsung. Fatality. Shout out to Shang Tao. Shout out to Shang Tao. Not Shang Tsung, Shang Tao. Shang Tao is over here trying to be the mayor of Oakland, managing a city less effectively than anybody that came before her. Shout out to Atiba Marshall. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. Shout out to Shang Tao. Out here messing up the bag. Not working well with the police, not doing the thing that's in the best interest of the people. And she's trying to have a conversation with the tenants and the people and the Oakland residents, and they're not trying to hear. They're not trying to hear you, Shane.
Crime prevention, adding security cameras and CHP officers on patrol. Some have demanded a state of emergency be declared, but the mayor disagrees.
And so calling for a state of emergency right now, when we are doing everything that this would allow for us to do too. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's just political theater.
Mayor Tao says the search continues for a new police.
This is political. She said this is political theater. This is political theater. People are listen, residents are calling for the National Guard. Residents are calling for the National Guard. And she's calling it political theater. Theater.
Chief after LaRon Armstrong was fired last winter. The OPD says violent crime is up 15% this year compared to last. Alameda County DA Pamela Price was asked if she favors perpetrators of crime over crime victims.
I've been representing victims in this community for 30 years. Not only that, I am a survivor of domestic violence.
Neighbors say they know creating a safer Oakland will take time, but Tanya is tired of waiting.
So there's an emotional weight to living in this town that we shouldn't have to carry. And that's what that sign means.
In Oakland, Cornell Bernard, ABC 7 News.
Here, let me add a little bit more context into this because I want y'all to understand what's going on from a policing perspective inside of Oakland also, okay?
The Oakland Police Commission is firing back at Mayor Shang Tao after she blasted them in a live interview with KPIX. Earlier today, Tao pointed fingers at the commission over why the city still hasn't appointed a permanent police chief.
I would call a state emergency if we cannot get the police commission to get its act together so that they can forward to me the top names for a new police chief.
So the mayor, let me get this straight. Shang Tao said that the mayor, cannot appoint a new permanent police chief to even create a safe environment for the residents. And it is up to the commission to actually give her the names of somebody that she can then vet effectively in order to appoint to this position that we can then start to wrangle in all of the criminals and get everything taken together. Okay? This is what she's saying. Now, I just want to give you the full context so that you guys are not completely in the dark as to why we're having this conversation. Let's continue.
If they cannot do that by the end of this year, then I will call for a state of emergency around just the police chief position.
But the police commission told us it is actually the mayor who has slowed the process down in their minds. They said they told the mayor's office last week that they plan to hand over a list of names next month.
I don't actually understand why she feels the need to throw shade at us, a group of unpaid volunteers who are donating an incredible amount of our time.
Wait. David Jordan. I believe that was his name that showed up on the screen. David Jordan, are you telling me that the mayor is interdependent on a group of volunteers that are donating an egregious amount of their time for the city or on the behalf of the city in order to do the thing that's in the best interest of the city? Shout out to Stat Sheet Stuffer. I'm definitely going to be reading that super chat shortly and all of the ones that's before that. The mayor is becoming interdependent on a group of volunteers and throwing stones at a bunch of people in order to find the person that is supposed to be appointed to the police commission position so that we can secure the safety of our residents? Come on, fam. You got to be kidding me. Yo, where do we live at? Do we live in a third world country? Are we living in the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Thailand? She's getting paid as the mayor. That is her job, to find a police commissioner and then appoint them and then secure the safety of the city, of the residents of this particular county. And you telling me that she's dependent on a group of volunteers that go to work, do their job every day, and then come together and then try to work feverishly on doing the thing that's in the best interest of the people without even getting paid? Come on, fam. Oh, we are living in a wild, wild west. Oh my goodness.
To see this process through. Our timeline is public. Everything we do is public.
Mayor Tao fired Chief LaRon Armstrong in February. She said she lost confidence in him amid misconduct claims against the department. She did that against the advice of multiple local groups, including the Oakland chapter of the NAACP.
Wait. So you fired the police commissioner in chief. You fired the police commissioner in chief without a replacement, and now you're pointing fingers at other people for not being able to have somebody readily available to you to appoint to the position that you then, against the wishes of the community and the people that you didn't depend on, and now you're pointing fingers publicly at them in order to absolve yourself of responsibility of really being able to do your job in your position. Come on, fam. Where they get that at? Where they do that at? Why would anybody even volunteer to be a part of this volunteer board that's working with the mayor, Shang Tsung, in order to do the thing that's in the best interest of the people? Maybe because they have a vested interest in seeing that their neighborhoods become greater. However, it's very, very difficult to do so when you're running with incompetent leadership. And so my question to you is, why are you guys unable to do the thing that's in your own best interest? We got taxes and crime going up simultaneously over in Chicago. We got safety and crime going up simultaneously over in Oakland. And this is just a reflection of what is going on all the way across the board in every single urban community. And it ain't even just the urban communities anymore. It's just communities in general. This is what is happening throughout the United States of America, even to the point to where I am starting to even evaluate whether or not I just want to go and visit random cities just for leisure. If it ain't business, why would I even be there? I heard that they got a huge new rat problem over there in Philly and in New York, so much so to where it's starting to gain national attention, international attention. Oh, don't worry. We're going to be addressing that tomorrow. Make sure that you stay tapped in. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat in order for you to be able to tap into the Patreon.